Israel, which is going to take down tensions quite a bit within the Middle East. The U.S. Also is fighting back against some of these drone attacks. We just had a big attack, I think it was in Kuwait, where they hit the airport, devastating. Again, hitting civilian targets. The U.S. did fire a missile and took out a tanker's engine room that was trying to run the blockade. So that's been one of the latest. Now, Donald Trump's also said in the last 24 hours that he is not in a hurry to get a bad deal. He'll wait this thing out. Israel has been really getting upset with the president. He and Benjamin Netanyahu have had some very spirited conversations. They both admit publicly, hey, yeah, we have had a little bit of a spat. Benjamin Netanyahu talked about it a little bit more in detail. Donald Trump's been above all of that. But getting this deal done between Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Israel will help tap down some of the emotions that you have right now that could derail what has been this long, ongoing, non-fortuitous ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Now, what else can we tell you over the last 24 hours since last we talked? This is a big one. The House passed a war powers resolution. Our very own Tim Kaine, senator from here in Virginia, keeps introducing it. The Senate keeps getting shut down. They keep introducing it in like 7, 8, 9, 10 votes. They're mainly show votes for your TikTok videos by members of the Democratic Party. But on Wednesday, Republican lawmakers, 4 of them, led by Thomas Massie, who lost his primary, he's going to be out of the U.S. Congress. He is not going to get reelected. On Wednesday, he led 3 other GOP congressmen that voted in favor of the war power resolution, which would pull everything back from the president. It would have them put a throttle on and pull the reins in on the president and his fight with Iran right now. That passed by the skin of its teeth. 4 defectors from the GOP went with the Democrats. It passed. Huge celebration on the Democratic side. It now goes to the Senate. It will not pass the Senate. And if it even somehow got past the Senate, the president would veto it. And there's really nothing else they can do about that. It's largely symbolic. But I want to come back to something that I've said a number of times, the prism that you look at all these through. So I want to ask you this morning on Richmond's Morning News, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Tell me this, Richmond. If you're voting and you're a member of the House of Representatives and this war powers resolution came to you and you're frustrated because this thing isn't over yet, and that's the other big thing. You heard Gary talk about this. Somehow, some way, we're under this impression that the U.S. could just roll out our red, white, and blue flag and defeat anybody in 10 seconds. We have the most powerful military in the whole wide world, but we never let that dog off the chain. We never let the dog off the chain since World War II. Could you have gone in and completely conquered Iran in a matter of weeks? Absolutely, but that would have been boots on the ground. Nobody wanted that. So if you're asking the U.S. military to go out there and beat them, they did. If you're asking them to conquer them without having boots on the ground, impossible to do. You have to have groups on the ground in order to conquer someone. Bring them to their knees. That's why we're at the stalemate where we won't go all in. We're using half measures right now because no one wants to see, quote unquote, a forever war or boots on the ground. I don't want to see that. You don't want to see that as well. But I do want to ask you this question. If you're in Congress, how would you vote? If the war power resolution comes up and you're on the right, you're not happy because this thing isn't over yet. You're on the left. You're not happy because you didn't want it to start in the beginning in the first place. How would you vote? Would you vote to rein it back in and seize control of what's been going on and it seems like forever in news cycle time? Or would you stand with the president who's showing some patience, not trying to take a deal for the sake of a deal, seeing if he can get what he's been looking for, which is Iran not having a nuke and getting the Strait opened back up? But I'll also ask you this question. For those that voted for the war powers resolution, do you think this was celebrated at the White House or celebrated in Tehran? And if it's celebrated in Tehran, are you telling me that you want to side with the mullahs and give them oxygen in this fight? over the White House, that you dislike the White House that much that you're willing to give joy, encouragement, and oxygen to Tehran, the Ayatollah, and the IRGC, and give them something they can celebrate because you dislike the president that much. I really would love to know what Richmond has to say. 833-804-1140 on the James River Air text line. Coming up, we'll talk more about Iran with Governor Jim Gilmore in just a bit. And big hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill when it comes to college sports. Hokie fans, you're going to want to hear about this. That's next here on News Radio WRVA. All right, today's program brought to you in part by GreerFinancialGroup.com.